That's me. And we're live. We did it, folks. Good morning. Even on a Tuesday, we can figure out how to use technology. My good friend Deepak is here, and we're going to talk about all sorts of exciting stuff today. So we thought we'd just jump on live and talk. And so, Deepak, why don't you say good morning, say hello to the audience, and tell them a little bit about themselves, about yourself, if didn't get you on our podcast.
Awesome. Yes, I'm glad to be back with you, Nick. It's always so good to talk to you. So yeah, good morning or good afternoon, depending where you're catching this live. Yeah, I'm Deepak Saini, health and performance coach, and I live here just west of Calgary, Alberta. So in the foothills of the Canadian Rockies. It is actually not that bad. It's plus degrees today. So that's a bonus. Snow, tons of snow, but it's starting to melt. So I'm always happy when that happens. I'm a warm weather person for sure.
Yeah, we got kind of lucky. Although it's back to chilly here in Chicago, as you can tell by the sweater, we have zero snow. So the plants aren't too happy, but I am. Deepak, I heard you have a workshop coming up that you wanted to share with our audience. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on and how folks can join you?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, appreciate the opportunity. Yeah, we have a series of 4 workshops. 2 have already passed, so there's 2 more upcoming. One, and I'll get to that in a second. But really, I believe that most people really, there's a lot of noise out there in the health space, right? You're scrolling through your feed and you see all these things for supplements or this, that, and the other thing. All these influencers or people you follow, one person says something, somebody says something else, and you're like, I don't know what to believe. Then you go to see your doctor, he spends maybe 5 minutes with you, and you're like, you feel completely unsatisfied after that appointment with them, and you're like, I don't know what to believe. And really, I believe it boils down to you have to know your data, your individual data, like what is going on with you. And this is not your general thing you get from your GP, your blood pressure, your cholesterol. These are like very basic. They almost tell you nothing. So I really believe people should be empowered with powerful data that most people don't have access to. And that's really what we're going to be talking about the workshop, why it's important, why your doctor doesn't tell you these things, how you can access them, and then sort of like next step. So really we're calling it like, what's holding back your energy, focus, and performance, and really what's the next step to take. And really it's about getting the data. So that's kind of the theme of the workshop.
Oh, it sounds exciting. And you know me, I'm always kind of looking for improvements in my health. I've got a half marathon just a few weeks away. And so I'm always trying to figure out what exactly is not coming together, because as entrepreneurs, we're always very busy. We're working a lot. And I know you work with a lot of kind of type A, very competitive people that are very focused on their careers and still want to have that balance of being able to do other things in their life. So maybe talk a little bit about the people that you work with and how this workshop can help them specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. I tend to work with, I work with all sorts of people, but they tend to be, those high performers, A type, if we want to call them that. They're entrepreneurs, they're founders, they're senior people in corporations, they're, C-suite executives and everything in between. But, Nikki, I want to go back to what you said earlier, about your half marathon upcoming, and that's great. I would never poo-poo anyone for doing any sort of exercise. That's very important for our health. But here's the thing: some people might be more, from a biological point of view, would actually do better with like shorter races, or maybe not even running at all, more power as opposed to like longer cardio. Whereas some people would be the other way, where like longer cardio, whether it be races or otherwise, is actually better suited to their biology. So knowing your fast twitch muscle fiber type and how you're more genetically predisposed could be actually a secret, to your performance. I'll just use myself as an example. I'm fairly balanced, but I have a more angle to being fast twitch, so more powerful, explosive movements, shorter distance versus long distance running, works for my biology better. On the podcast when I was on originally, we got into my backstory and how I hurt my back and all that sort of thing. And I think part of the reason that I, broke my body down and hurt my back was because I was doing chronic cardio. Now, was I overweight and carrying too much weight? Yes, absolutely. But actually, genetically, that was not right. That type of exercise is not right for my body. So, I think, again, just knowing the data, and that doesn't mean you can't follow what you want to do, and maybe you have a goal or a bucket list item, et cetera, et cetera. That's totally fine. But like, let's work with our strengths from a biological point of view than more often than not than going against it.
I love that. And I think it's really important because we do kind of get in these communities where you feel this pressure, and whether it's through social media or other things of like, oh, well, everybody's doing CrossFit, so I got to go run over and do that. Or everybody's now eating paleo and I got to go. And it's really hard. I think one, it's hard to just be consistent and to know what's best for us. And I think that is kind of one of those downfalls, is that our medical system doesn't generally help us with those things. And so it's great that we have experts like you that can help us through those challenges. And I kind of saw on the website that it seems like the workshop might be kind of geared more towards men. So I was kind of curious, will the ladies in the house still be welcome to join?
Yeah, no, great pointing that out, Nikki. So, initially, yes, intentionally. I mean, I do work with men and women. It tends to skew more towards men, and not really sure why that is. I have an idea, but anyway, leaving that aside for a second. So yeah, if you look on the landing page, it says this is for men of this type, etc. But what I'll tell you, like again, we've already had 2 of the 4 workshops have already run. More than, I'd say about roughly 50% of the attendees have been women, which just tells me, maybe we did a bad job marketing, or that there is a desire for this type of information from both men and women. So even though the landing page says that we have 2 left, I'm not going to change that now. But yeah, if you're a woman and you're interested in learning about how to optimize your performance, what's draining you, and to get to the real heart, again, what your doctor's not testing, what that your personal trainer or nutritionist doesn't have the data on you, or what that influencer is like, is this really true? Definitely register. All are welcome.
Oh, that's fantastic. So the next one is tomorrow, March 4th, and then you've got another one next week, March 10th. That's super exciting. And I know, so these are kind of smaller master classes, but you have a bigger event coming up soon too. Why don't we talk a little bit about that? What's different about the big event, and when is it coming up?
Sure, great question. So I just want to clarify. So yes, these 2 master classes upcoming, one tomorrow and one next week. These are free, 60 minutes. Again, we really get into what I just mentioned, what's holding you back, your energy, the things your doctor's not testing for, et cetera, et cetera. And really, it's kind of a primer for the one-day event. Now, the one-day event, very inexpensive ticket, $7 a ticket. So this is just the primer to lead people into the one-day event, which is a full-day event where we're going to go deep on all those 3 pillars I just mentioned. We're going to go really deep and understand, and people are going to walk away with, like, why that gap in that data potentially is costing you years of your health. Now, not years of life, because our medical system is very good at keeping us alive nowadays, but that doesn't mean we have quality of life. So having that gap in that data, how could that impact your health span? Something I call the 3 pillars of leadership longevity. Again, this is typically for, event is for leaders. And then what are some of the habits that you might be doing that you think are healthy that are actually aging you faster than you anticipate? So we're going to go really, really, really deep in this one-day event. Again, tickets are just $7.
Oh,
And it's
that's fantastic.
March 18th. So it's the week following, if I didn't say that.
Great. I'll drop that link for the full event in there as well, because maybe they're just going to get that taste during the masterclass, and then they're going to go, man, I really need to know more about this. And I need to spend more time with Deepak because he knows so much. I can't possibly get it in that short segment. I need a whole day with him and maybe even more.
Yeah. I want to mention one other thing, Nikki.
Please.
We actually have a guest speaker at the full day event, and they're an expert in talking about peptides. Now, I don't know about you, Nikki, but in my feed, and I guess I'm in this space, so maybe that's why, but I can't scroll more than a couple swipes without getting some company trying to sell me garbage peptides in my feed. So I have an expert on who's going to be our lunch speaker, who's going to be talking about, like the truth about peptides, about quality and sourcing and the type of different peptides for different issues people might have. So that in itself might be worth the $7. So I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that as well.
Oh, fantastic. I love it. I love when we collaborate as entrepreneurs and bring even more value to our audience. And it's great to see, that you're continuing to do that and help set the record straight, because there's a lot of noise out there in this space. Aside from the events, why don't you let people know where they can see you and get to know more about you, and hopefully follow you for more information?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on all the socials except for TikTok. I haven't gone to that one yet, but you can find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, etc. And yeah, like if you're just curious, I mean, obviously I would love to see you at one of the workshops or the full day event, but maybe just can't work for your schedule, et cetera. I totally understand. But hey, reach out. Happy to have a conversation. Just cyber, follow me for a while and get a feel for me. I totally understand too. But yeah, I'd love to talk to any of your audience, Nikki.
Oh, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for stopping by today. And I'm sure we're going to collaborate on more things. I got to go work on those push-ups because my birthday is not too far
Yeah,
away.
yeah, that's right.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for stopping by to check out the live today and for hanging out with Deepak. And the links are in the notes there if you'd like to join either the workshop or the full day event. Bye, guys. See you next
Thanks,
time.
Nikki.